going on, everyone? It's Jacqueline here from Nothing But Tech. Welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are all doing well. In today's video, we're talking about the iPhone XR. I've been using this phone for a little bit over a week now as like my daily do everything on this phone, and I have a bunch of thoughts on it. My 3 words that I would use to describe it are the following: colorful, fast, and controversial. So let's discuss why I think those 3 things and if I think it's worth it for you guys. So I feel like there's 2 camps with the iPhone XR. There are people that are saying, this is the phone to get, like this is the iPhone of the year. And then there are people that are saying, this is a huge ripoff, do not buy this phone, the screen's terrible, no, it's bad. And I kind of fall into the camp of definitely not the second camp. I would say that I'm the first camp in the way that I think that this is going to be the most popular iPhone of the year for the general consumer. But I wouldn't say that I wouldn't buy the XS because this phone has come out. So I'll explain that in this video. I think that there are a couple reasons why you would pick this over the XS or XS Max. One of them obviously being price. But let's dive into the main things that make the smartphone good and the main things it lacks. And then at the end of the video, I'll tell you guys if I think you should buy it. Starting with the build, it's a glass and aluminum frame. So it is lighter than the iPhone XS and XS Max because those both pack stainless steel sides, whereas this packs an aluminum side. And what's nice about this is that it's a little bit lighter, and it also will show scratches less than the stainless steel. So it might look like it's a little bit more durable. And also, the rails are color matched to whatever the phone is. So this year, the phone comes in a bunch of different colors. It comes in black, white, blue, coral, yellow, and product red. They all look amazing, and they all have their rails color matched to the back of the phone. So I really feel like they pop in person more than they do in videos and stuff, but they're beautiful, and I feel like you cannot put a case on this phone unless it's clear because you're not going to be doing it justice. This blue looks really nice. It's like a really vibrant baby blue. And then the rails match it really nicely as well. One weird thing with the build is that the SIM card tray moved to like the bottom part of the phone, so just note that when you're looking at it. Otherwise, you have like your mute/lock switch and your volume rockers on the left side. On the bottom, you have speaker grills and the lightning port. One thing I did notice is that it's a little bit off center. Once you see that, you will not be able to unsee it. I'm sorry. But otherwise, the build feels pretty good in the hand. With a 6.1-inch screen, it still is definitely a one-handable phone because of the thin bezels-ish. We'll talk about that. But I think it looks really good in the hand, and it's grippy enough in the hand where I feel like it's not going to slip out of my pocket or my hand. A lot of people are saying that this is like the iPhone 5C because of all the different color options, but the iPhone 5C was a very watered-down version of the flagship of that year, whereas this is not. It's missing a couple features, but I would definitely still consider it a flagship. I'm a fan of the build. As simple as that, it feels good in the hand. It looks similar to a lot of 2018 phones, but I think that the color really differentiates it. All right, so the elephant in the room, the display. It's a 6.1-inch liquid LCD display, and the fact that it's LCD causes 3 different things to happen. Number 1, it causes thicker bezels, so when you compare this phone to the iPhone X, XS, or XS Max, you're going to see that the bezels surrounding the screen just look a lot bigger. It almost looks like you have a case on the phone. But in actual daily use, you will not notice this. You'll only notice it if you place it next to the phone or you're really looking at it. But the screen is a nice looking panel that you're kind of drawn to that and less so drawn to the bezel surrounding it. Also, a lot of people put cases on their phone, and that's kind of going to block some of the bezel anyway. So the screen is a 792 by 828 panel, which means it has 326 pixels per inch. So that is a Retina display, Apple's calling it, and it's getting bashed like crazy. People are saying it's not even 1080p. What is this? And I don't really agree with that, honestly. In daily practice, yes, it does not look as clear as my iPhone XS or XS Max, but it looks fine, even good. Like the color accuracy and brightness and everything make this display a really good panel, and I think the fact that it lacks a little bit of sharpness is not the end of the world at all. When I'm looking at it from normal viewing distances, it looks sharp to me. It's only when I bring it up to my face or I'm on a white screen with black text that I'll be like, it doesn't look that like crispy, but honestly, it's a pretty good panel. You obviously have that notch again, so that means that it's going to cut into video playback, but that's like the same as the XS and XS Max. And I think that overall, like the screen resolution isn't a big deal. One thing that I am missing this year is 3D Touch, which I didn't really think I'd ever say, but I actually use it a lot. So 3D Touch is not present on this phone. That's one of the main differences from the XS to the XR. So Haptic Touch is kind of here instead of 3D Touch. And it's like a watered down version of it. It doesn't work by pressure sensitivity. It instead just works by how long you push down on something. And you're only going to see it in 3 places: the camera, flashlight, and the keyboard. So I use the keyboard trackpad thing all the time, so I'm glad that it is here for that. But I also use 3D Touch in a lot of other ways, like to preview a link or to start a text quickly. I'm actually finding that I'm missing it a lot. So if you're like me and use 3D Touch a lot, yeah, it is definitely a learning curve to not have that, and it definitely makes things a little bit less convenient. But for the general public, I don't think most people use 3D Touch a lot. I just found myself missing it. The one main thing that I do use 3D Touch for, though, is the keyboard, and that is here, so I'm glad to see that. So overall, though, the screen in general, I think it's a solid panel, and I know that that's like a lot of people are considering it a deal breaker why they wouldn't buy the phone, and I'm just going to make this clear. It is by no means a deal breaker. The screen looks good. It's not fantastic in terms of sharpness, but it's fantastic in every other sense. Color accuracy, brightness, representation, it looks really, really good. And the fact that it's not that sharp and there's not a ton of resolution means that you're gonna get insane battery life from this phone. I'm getting 6 or 7 hours of screen on time. 6 or 7 hours. Like, this is a battery powerhouse. You can use this phone, wake up at 7 a.m. and at 7 p.m. still have like 20% left. And that's really impressive. So I think that that is one of the major selling points of this phone. Battery life has been excellent. Touching on performance, you're getting the A12 Bionic 6-core CPU chip, which means that everything is going to be really, really fast on here. You're getting an M12 Motion coprocessor, and then you're getting iOS 12, obviously. 3 gigabytes of RAM, so it's 1 less gigabyte of RAM from the iPhone XS, which means that RAM management in theory won't be as good. I haven't really noticed any real world stuff like that yet. In terms of storage, you're getting 64, 128, and 250 gigabyte storage options. It's only like a $50 upgrade, I believe, from the 64 to 128, which I'm definitely happy to see. And then in terms of cameras, you're getting a 12 megapixel rear facing camera, f1.8 aperture with OIS and the True Tone flash. So it's the same wide angle camera that you see on the XS. Then on the front, you're getting a 7 megapixel front facing camera with an f2.2 aperture, and you're getting dust and water resistance up to IP67, and you're getting a 2,942 milliamp hour battery. And they say that you're gonna get 25 hours of talk time, 65 hours of audio playback, and 16 hours of video. I did not test for those exact things, obviously, but battery life, as I've already said several times, is excellent. You're also getting wireless charging here, which is really nice, and fast charging, but it does not come with that accessory in the box. That's an added expense. The phone weighs 194 grams, so it feels pretty light and comfortable in your hand. And overall performance of the phone, it now uses swipe gestures, which means all the flagship iPhones of this year are on swipe gestures. You get really used to it, and it feels really intuitive and fluid. And with iOS 12, they've just gotten better. So performance has been really, really impressive on this phone, and it should be because it has high-end specs. Going over the camera a little bit more, the camera is, as I've already said, the wide-angle lens from the iPhone XS and XS Max, which means that you're going to get excellent photos. So dynamic range is really good, sharpness is really good, clarity is also there, and it produces a really good image, especially with HDR. One thing that I will say is that it doesn't have the second camera, so you're using all digital zoom, but at 2x zoom, it looks pretty good. Like if you did the telephoto lens on the XS and you compared it to this with 2x digital zoom, you're not going to see a major difference. It still has portrait mode, but it has a very different portrait mode, which means it only works with people, and it's also further back. So with the XS, when you take a photo, it crops in and it uses the telephoto focal range. With this one, it's using the wide angle range, which means that you're getting a pretty different look. It looks good, and it works for people well, but it only works for just that, like people. So I find myself taking pictures of pets or inanimate objects and stuff like that, and this phone will not be able to capture that in portrait mode. It's a purely software-based thing, kind of like the Pixel 3, but only for people. For people, though, it works pretty well. The selfie camera also packs portrait mode, and it looked pretty good as well. Color representation is also there. It's not as wide as I would like it to be, but the quality is definitely there. Going over some of the extras, it has really loud stereo speakers, and it's the same setup as the iPhone XS, but because it's a little bit bigger, they sound a little bit fuller and nicer. They get loud, they're crisp, and they have bass definitely present, which is a good thing because this does not pack a headphone jack. So I know a lot of people are angry about that. For me personally, it's not a major deal, and I say this on every single phone because I'm a tech reviewer and I test out countless phones every single year, and almost every single one that I've tested so far this year has not had a headphone jack. so it sucks, but I'm pretty much all wireless now. For the occasion where I need wired headphones, I can just use a little adapter, and you can buy that from Apple for like $9. But yeah, I'm pretty much on that wireless headphone game, and at home and stuff, the speakers sound really good. One other thing that I haven't personally had as an issue, but I've heard a lot of people have reported it, so I wanted to mention it, is that the iPhone XR has weaker signal strength when compared to the iPhone XS. So in areas with weak signal strength, it's just not going to perform as well as some of the other flagships like a Note 9 or the iPhone XS. I haven't personally experienced that, but it's definitely something to note, and you should contact your carrier before you buy this and just see what they think. But those are the main things. So overall, for $250 less than the iPhone XS, it gets a lot of things right. It comes really close in the areas that count. The three major flaws, I would say, is the weaker signal strength, if you're in an area where that's applicable. Portrait mode not being available for anything but people. That's not a major deal, but I do use portrait mode a lot, so it's something that I definitely noticed. And then third thing is the screen resolution, which I've also said is not a major deal. Obviously, when I go back to my XS, I'm like, wow, the screen looks really, really good. But I think the screen on here for the general consumer is pretty good. So for $250 less, would I recommend this phone? For sure. Even without comparing it to the XS and the XS Max, this is a really solid phone, and it's definitely one that you should consider if you want to get an iPhone, but you don't want to spend $1,000. That's it for this video, though. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like. I have a lot of other content coming, so be sure to subscribe right here so you don't miss any of that content. Check out my other content right here, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.